So, before we dive into why real estate plays such a big role in building generational wealth, maybe we should clear up what that really means. When people say generational wealth, what comes to mind for you?
First thing I picture is families passing down assets, like homes or businesses, from one generation to the next. It's less about quick wins and more about giving your kids, and even their kids, a solid financial start.
Exactly. It's that idea of creating a financial safety net that lasts, not just a one-time windfall. And plenty of folks picture stocks or trust funds, but real estate keeps popping up in those stories.
Totally. And I think that's because a house or property isn't just a number on a page, it's something tangible, something you can use, live in, or pass along. That actually makes me think about how property values change over time, which is huge for generational planning.
You know, what's wild is how real estate seems to hold or even grow in value over decades, even when other investments can be all over the place. Have you seen those charts comparing real estate to stocks during downturns?
The difference jumps out. While stocks can tank overnight, property prices tend to move slower. Even in rough years, a house isn't likely to lose half its value in a week. That stability makes it a lot easier to plan for the long haul.
It's almost like real estate is the tortoise in that old story, slow and steady, but relentlessly moving forward. Plus, people always need places to live, so there's that built-in demand.
And that demand doesn't just keep prices afloat, it often pushes them up, especially in growing cities. Plus, unlike stocks, you can actually improve a property and directly influence its value. That's a rare thing in investing.
That reminds me, one of the things people rave about is passive income from rentals. It's amazing how a single property can generate cash flow month after month. Have you seen families really use that to build wealth over generations?
I have. I know a family that started with one duplex, and over time, the rent paid the mortgage, then gave them extra to buy another property. Now, grandkids are basically set for college just from the rental income.
That's the dream, right? You're not just hoping the value will go up, you're making money while you wait. And when you pass it down, your kids inherit both the property and the income stream.
Exactly, and the best part is, rental income tends to rise with inflation, so you're not stuck with yesterday's dollars. That's a huge advantage when you're thinking 20 or 30 years ahead.
Speaking of advantages, there are some wild tax benefits in real estate. I feel like not enough people realize just how much you can save or even make through smart tax planning. What do you think stands out most?
Depreciation is a big one. You can write off the cost of your property over time, even if its market value goes up. And if you sell, there are ways to defer taxes with 1,031 exchanges, so you can keep growing your portfolio without a big tax hit.
That ability to roll profits into a new property is such a game changer. And let's not forget leveraging buying with borrowed money. You only put down a portion, but you get to keep all the appreciation.
So true. Where else can you control a big asset with a relatively small amount of cash? That's how families go from one property to a whole portfolio, which really amps up the generational impact.
One thing I love about real estate is how it changes the way families think about legacy. It's not just money on a spreadsheet, it's the family home, the place everyone comes back to for holidays. That emotional piece is powerful.
Honestly, I think that's why people fight so hard to keep property in the family. It's a physical reminder of past sacrifices and future hopes. The memories made there matter as much as the dollars.
That's a good point. When parents pass down a house, they're sharing more than just equity. They're passing down security, roots, even a sense of belonging.
And that spark can inspire the next generation to keep building. When you grow up seeing what's possible, you start to dream bigger yourself. Real estate sets that foundation for both wealth and mindset.
You know, for a lot of people, real estate feels like this massive, mysterious world. But I'm curious, how does someone actually go from just thinking about it to really getting involved?
Honestly, the idea of jumping in can be intimidating, but that first step is usually just about educating yourself. I started out by going to local meetups and listening in on real estate forums, just absorbing as much as I could before risking a dime.
That sounds way more approachable than the get-rich-quick webinars you see online. So you're saying just starting with learning, maybe asking around, can be enough at first?
Exactly. And talking to people who've done it, even casually, can make things far less intimidating. Plus, you might stumble across opportunities or partners you'd never have found otherwise.
Now, once you've dipped your toes in, the options seem endless: flipping, renting, wholesaling. Did you find it overwhelming to pick a direction?
Totally overwhelming at first. What helped was focusing on one area that matched my risk tolerance and resources. For me, that meant starting small with single-family rentals. I could actually understand the math without getting lost.
That makes sense. No one says you have to master every corner of the industry right away. Did you experiment with other niches before settling?
I dabbled a bit with wholesaling, but honestly, the pace and pressure didn't fit me. It took a little trial and error, but choosing what genuinely fits your lifestyle is huge in real estate.
Funny, the one thing I always hear from seasoned investors is how important your network is. Did you build yours intentionally, or did it just sort of happen?
It was a mix. Some contacts came naturally, but I realized pretty early that you have to be deliberate. That meant going to networking lunches, joining local Facebook groups, and actually reaching out to agents and lenders.
Sometimes just having a handful of reliable people like a good contractor or a sharp agent can make all the difference. Any stories where your network saved the day?
Oh, definitely. There was this one deal where a last-minute roof issue nearly tanked the sale. A friend introduced me to a roofer who moved mountains to get it fixed in time. Without that connection, I would have lost the whole thing.
After your first couple of deals, what did you do to keep building momentum? I see so many people plateau after getting started.
That's a huge hurdle. What helped me was constantly learning, taking advanced courses, following market trends, and asking for feedback from mentors. I also started analyzing deals more critically, not just relying on gut feeling.
So it's less about luck and more about sharpening your skills as you go. Did you ever hit a point where things just clicked and started snowballing?
It honestly took a few years, but once I got really comfortable analyzing deals and trusting my team, I could scale up buying multiple properties at once instead of just one a year. That shift was a mix of confidence and better systems.
There's always that fear of messing up. What mistakes have you seen new investors make, and how can people avoid getting stuck?
Jumping in too fast without due diligence is a big one. I've seen folks buy properties sight unseen because a deal sounded amazing, only to find hidden issues that wiped out profits. Taking time to really research and inspect saves so many headaches.
That's reassuring for anyone feeling overwhelmed. Any advice for those who feel stuck, like they're learning but not moving forward?
Start with one small, manageable step and build from there. Even making one offer or viewing a few properties can break the paralysis. Progress in real estate is a marathon, not a sprint, and every small win adds up over time.
I still remember the rush I felt signing the paperwork on my very first property. There's something about putting your money into real estate that just feels different. Did you get that same buzz when you started out?
Oh, absolutely. Even before the ink dried, my heart was pounding. It's a mix of excitement and a little bit of terror, honestly. It's one thing to read about investing, but when it's your name on the deed, it gets real fast.
Totally. And I think part of it is that real estate feels so tangible. Unlike stocks, you can see it, touch it. That physical aspect makes the investment feel more personal, doesn't it?
That's exactly it. I remember walking through empty rooms, imagining what the place could become. There's so much potential in those walls, and you're the one unlocking it. That sense of possibility is addicting.
But let's be honest. Those first few months were nerve-wracking for me. Every phone call from the property manager made me brace for bad news. Did you go through that anxious phase too?
Oh, I spent way too many nights Googling things like, what if my tenant doesn't pay rent? But over time, you start to realize that most problems have solutions. The nerves fade as you get more comfortable handling issues, and you kind of grow into the role.
It's almost like building muscle. Tiny setbacks and small wins add up. And suddenly, things that used to scare you are just part of the routine. It's so satisfying to look back and see how much you've learned.
Exactly. And each new bit of experience gives you more confidence until you actually start looking forward to challenges. They're proof you're leveling up as an investor.
One thing that keeps me coming back is watching an investment actually grow, whether it's the property value or the rent checks stacking up. There's something so validating about seeing results over time.
It's like tending a garden. You don't see much change at first, but then suddenly, a year or two in, you realize how far it's come. Even repainting a place or upgrading a kitchen can make a huge difference.
And those small improvements add up, both emotionally and financially. Honestly, that feeling of progress makes all the headaches worth it, at least for me.
Completely agree. The satisfaction isn't just in the profit, but in watching something you shaped turn into a success. That's hard to replicate in other types of investments.
Still, it'd be sugarcoating things to say it's always smooth sailing. I've had plenty of setbacks, unexpected repairs, tough tenants, market dips. How do you manage those moments when satisfaction feels miles away?
Those parts are rough, no doubt. I once had a water heater burst the week after I finally felt established as a landlord. But coming through those headaches honestly makes the wins sweeter. It's like earning your stripes in the real estate world.
And after each crisis, I feel a little more equipped for the next one. Sometimes, sharing battle stories with other investors is half the fun. It's almost a rite of passage.
Definitely. The hard stuff reminds you that it's a real business, not just passive income, and it makes those moments when everything's running smoothly feel extra satisfying.
Beyond the financial side, real estate can be surprisingly meaningful. Fixing up a place, offering someone a home, it starts to feel like you're contributing something lasting.
I love that you said that. Last month, a tenant told me how much they loved living in my building. It hit me that this isn't just about profit, it's about building community, maybe even leaving a legacy.
Exactly. It's satisfying on so many levels. The numbers, the learning, the impact. No wonder so many people get hooked once they've started.
And I think that's why, despite all the stress, people keep coming back to real estate. The satisfaction is real, and it goes way beyond the bank account.
Real estate has this almost magnetic pull for so many people who want to build wealth. Have you noticed how many folks see it as the ultimate get-rich strategy?
Absolutely. It feels like every other success story starts with, "I bought my first rental." There's this perception that real estate is a reliable path to financial freedom, partly because it's tangible and, at least historically, property values tend to rise over time.
Yeah. And I think that physical aspect, something you can see and touch, makes people feel safer than with, say, stocks. But it's not just about comfort, right? There are big earning possibilities if you play your cards right.
That's the thing, there's potential for both steady cash flow from rent and long-term appreciation. But I have to say, there are a lot of misconceptions about how much people really make. Not everyone ends up as a millionaire landlord.
Funny you mention that, because the numbers can really vary. I've heard of people making just a few $100 a month, while others pull in thousands. What's actually realistic for most folks starting out?
From what I've seen, it's pretty common for beginner investors to net somewhere between $200 to $600 per month per rental property after expenses. Of course, location and market timing play a massive role here.
And that's before accounting for those surprise repairs, the leaky roofs, broken water heaters, all the classic landlord headaches. It's easy to forget about those when you're just looking at potential returns on paper.
Exactly. Cash flow can get eaten up fast. Plus, if you're buying in a hot market, the upfront costs can be pretty steep, so it takes longer to see a real profit. Still, over years, appreciation can become a big boost to your net worth.
Speaking of appreciation, I know some people dive into flipping houses instead of holding rentals. That seems like a totally different beast, quicker profits, but also more risks. Have you seen that play out?
Oh, absolutely. Flipping can look glamorous, but it's seriously hands-on. You might see profits of $20,000 or even $50,000 on a successful flip, but there's always the risk of unexpected costs or a slow sale eating into those gains.
Not to mention the stress. I've heard stories where a project drags on for months longer than planned, and suddenly that big profit shrinks fast. It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Totally. Flipping is almost like running a mini business for every house. Rental income might be slower to build, but it's less of a roller coaster if you're looking for steady, long-term wealth.
That actually reminds me, experience makes a huge difference. I mean, rookie mistakes can eat away at profits, right? Did you ever hear about someone nearly losing money on their first deal?
Definitely. One friend underestimated renovation costs by thousands, and another forgot to factor in property taxes. Both learned the hard way. Experience teaches you to spot hidden expenses and negotiate better.
It really is a learning curve. The first deal is rarely the best one, but every step gets you sharper and hopefully more profitable. A lot of folks don't talk about those early missteps.
Exactly. And mentorship or joining a local real estate group can make a world of difference. Learning from others' mistakes is almost as valuable as avoiding your own.
So after all the ups and downs, what's your take? Is real estate really a ticket to getting rich? Or is it more about slow and steady wealth building?
Honestly, it leans more toward the slow and steady side for most people. Sure, there are outliers who strike it big, but for the average investor, it's about building equity and passive income over years.
That makes sense. It's like planting a tree. You don't get shade the first year, but over time, you really start to see the benefits pile up.
Exactly. With patience, smart decisions, and a willingness to learn, real estate can absolutely be a powerful wealth-building tool. But it's not just about the money, it's also about managing risks and enjoying the process.
It feels like every time I look up how the ultra-wealthy build their fortunes, real estate is always at the top of the list. I mean, there has to be something about property that makes it so attractive to people who already have a lot, right?
You're spot on. It's almost like real estate is this secret club for building and preserving wealth. Part of the allure is stability. Unlike stocks that can change drastically in a single day, property tends to hold value and even grow steadily over time.
That steady appreciation really sets it apart. And it's not just about buying a house and waiting around. The wealthy seem to have a whole playbook when it comes to property rentals, commercial spaces, development projects.
Exactly. And that playbook is all about layering different strategies. For example, owning apartment buildings not only means property value growth, but you're also getting monthly rent rolling in. That consistent cash flow makes real estate especially attractive for the already rich.
Speaking of cash flow, it blows my mind how owning a single property can bring in money in so many ways. Rent is obvious, but there's appreciation, tax benefits, and even things like leverage. It's like a financial Swiss Army knife.
I love that analogy. Swiss Army knife is perfect. What's wild is that with leverage, the wealthy can use borrowed money to buy bigger properties, so they're growing wealth with someone else's capital. And let's not forget, those mortgage payments are often covered by renters.
It almost feels unfair, honestly. If you have enough to buy a building, you can let tenants pay down your loan while you watch the value go up. Plus, there's the tax side. Real estate gets all kinds of deductions and credits.
That's right, and those tax perks can be a game changer. Depreciation lets investors offset rental income, and there are special exchanges that let them defer capital gains. No wonder wealthy families hold onto properties for generations.
That leads me to something else. I've noticed so much wealth gets passed down through real estate. It's like properties become family heirlooms, growing in value with each generation.
I've seen that happen firsthand. Properties bought decades ago are now worth 10 times as much. Because real estate generally follows long-term trends, families can watch their net worth balloon just by holding onto land or buildings.
It's an impressive legacy tool. Even during rocky times, some families manage to hang onto their buildings and ride out the storm. That resilience is a big part of why real estate stays in the portfolio of the wealthy.
And what's fascinating is, you don't just get appreciation. You get the ability to use those properties as collateral for new ventures. It's like once you have a foothold, real estate keeps opening up new opportunities.
I'm curious, why do so many people, even outside the ultra-wealthy, see real estate as the safest bet? Is it just the physical nature of owning land, or something more?
There's something comforting about tangible assets, for sure, but it's also about demand. People always need places to live and work. Even when the market dips, there's usually a floor because of that basic necessity.
That kind of demand is hard to replicate with things like tech stocks or crypto, where the value can evaporate overnight. You can't just make more land, and that scarcity adds to the security.
Absolutely, and scarcity is a real driver here. Plus, if you look at long-term charts, property values tend to recover faster than other assets after downturns. That makes it a go-to for people who want to protect and grow their wealth steadily.
All this talk makes me wonder if real estate is so powerful. Is it only for the rich? Or can the rest of us get a piece of the action too?
Honestly, there are more entry points than ever now. First-time buyers can start small, maybe with a duplex and rent out half. Or through REITs, real estate investment trusts, people can pool resources and invest in big properties without huge upfront cash.
That's encouraging. Even owning one property can set you on a path toward greater financial stability. And with all the online resources and platforms out there, it feels more accessible than it did even a decade ago.
Exactly, and every step counts. Whether you're buying your first condo or investing in a small commercial space, you're tapping into the same wealth-building machine that's made generations rich. It's not all at once, but it's absolutely possible to start.
It's a good reminder that building wealth isn't just for billionaires. With the right moves, real estate can be a powerful tool for anyone willing to learn and take that first step. When people talk about building wealth, real estate almost always comes up. What is it about real estate that makes it such a popular investment?
It really comes down to a few big draws. For one, real estate is tangible. People are drawn to something they can actually see and touch, like a house or a building. Plus, there's the potential for passive income from renting, which feels more predictable than, say, playing the stock market.
That steady income is a huge factor. I know people who love getting monthly rent checks, but I guess real estate can also offer long-term appreciation, right?
Exactly. Over time, property values usually rise, at least historically they have. People see their investment not only paying them every month, but also growing in worth, almost like a double win.
Something else I hear a lot is how real estate feels more secure than other investments. There's this idea that land will always be valuable. Do you think that's justified?
There's definitely some truth to that. Unlike stocks, property doesn't vanish overnight, and you can often borrow money to buy it using leverage to control more with less cash up front. That can make real estate feel like a safer, more powerful way to build wealth.
Leverage is a double-edged sword, though, right? It can magnify gains, but it also magnifies losses if things go wrong.
Totally. If property values drop or you lose tenants, you're still on the hook for those loan payments. The security is real, but so are the risks.
You know, people don't always talk about the headaches that come with owning property. There's a lot more to it than just collecting rent.
Tell me about it. Maintenance calls at midnight. Surprise repairs owning real estate can turn into a second job. Plus, if your property sits empty, that income stream dries up fast.
And the costs can sneak up on you. Property taxes, insurance, ongoing upkeep, it all adds up, sometimes faster than expected.
That's the side people don't see on those house-flipping TV shows. There's real risk that you'll spend more than you make, especially if the market takes a turn.
One thing that's always bugged me about real estate: if you need cash quickly, selling a house isn't exactly an overnight process.
That's a major drawback. With stocks, you can usually sell and get your money in days. With property, it might take months or longer if the market's slow. You can't just cash out on a whim.
And if you're in a pinch, you might have to sell at a loss. It really limits your flexibility compared to more liquid investments.
Right, and that lack of liquidity can put people in tough spots, especially during economic downturns when buyers disappear.
So, with all these pros and cons, it seems like real estate isn't a guaranteed win. How should someone decide if it fits their investment style?
It's really about knowing yourself. If you like something hands-on and don't mind the occasional curveball, real estate can be rewarding. But if you need quick access to your money or hate dealing with repairs, it might not be the best match.
I guess the best approach is balancing real estate with other investments, so you get the benefits without putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. A little diversification goes a long way. You get some steady income and appreciation from real estate and keep your portfolio flexible with more liquid assets.
I can't scroll through my news feed these days without seeing another headline about skyrocketing property prices. It kind of feels like every year buying a home gets further out of reach for most people.
It does seem relentless, doesn't it? Friends of mine joke that their dream home is just getting smaller and smaller on Zillow. But behind all those headlines, there's a lot more going on than just random market chaos.
Yeah, it's not just about luck or timing, is it? There's this sense that something bigger is pushing prices up. I mean, is it just supply and demand, or are there some hidden forces at play?
That's what fascinates me. The story goes way deeper than the usual not enough houses, too many people. Let's dig into what's really making property more expensive year after year.
So, starting with the basics, scarcity. It's always mentioned as the big bad villain. Is it really just that we're not building enough homes for everyone who wants one?
That's a classic piece of the puzzle, but it's only half the story. While it's true that in popular cities, housing can't keep up with demand, there's also the way that demand itself has changed. People are moving into cities faster, and more people want to own instead of rent.
I guess it makes sense. Urban life, job opportunities, entertainment. The cities just keep pulling people in, which puts more pressure on housing.
Exactly. And sometimes zoning laws or land restrictions make it even harder to build new homes. So even if developers want to build, they often hit roadblocks, which keeps supply tight and prices climbing.
But here's where I get a bit lost: interest rates. Somehow, when borrowing is cheap, prices seem to soar. What's the connection there?
When interest rates drop, mortgages get much more affordable. Suddenly, people can borrow more, so they're able to offer higher prices for the same property. It's like giving everyone a bigger wallet at the auction.
So that extra purchasing power heats up the bidding wars, right? Even if your salary hasn't changed, your loan approval might be way higher just because rates are low.
Exactly, and investors notice too. They jump into the market, hoping for big returns, which adds even more demand. That actually reminds me, the role of investors is a whole other layer to this.
Let's talk about those investors for a second. Sometimes it feels like regular buyers are competing with giant investment firms and people looking for a second home.
It's definitely a huge factor. When investing in property feels safer than the stock market, lots of people big and small pour their money into real estate. That drives up demand beyond what's needed for actual living spaces.
Right, so it's not just people needing a roof. It's folks trying to make a profit or park their cash somewhere safe. That must make things even harder for first-time buyers.
Absolutely, and sometimes entire neighborhoods get flipped or turned into rentals, pushing prices up and making communities less stable. It creates this feedback loop: higher prices attract more investors, which keeps prices high.
You know, after hearing all that, I wonder if policy changes could actually break this cycle. Are there real solutions, or does it always swing back to higher prices?
It's tricky. Some places have tried things like rent controls or extra taxes on investors, but those fixes often have side effects. Sometimes they help, sometimes they just push the problem elsewhere.
And maybe there's something psychological too, like if everyone believes property values will keep rising, doesn't that belief itself drive prices up?
That's such a good point. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. People rush to buy before it gets worse, which pushes prices even higher. Until something big changes like a market crash or major policy shift, that cycle just keeps rolling.
After all this, I'm honestly curious. Do you think there's any hope that property prices will ever level off, or even drop, so more people can actually buy homes?
It's tough to say, but I think there's some hope if we see big changes like new ways to build homes faster or shifts in how cities zone and plan. Technology could play a role too, making construction cheaper.
Maybe if enough people push for different policies or get creative with things like co-ops and shared ownership, we could see a shift.
I'd love to see that. The path forward probably isn't simple, but understanding why prices keep rising is a first step to changing the story. And maybe, just maybe, we'll see that dream home become a little less out of reach.
You know, most people assume you need a hefty bank account to even dream about owning property. But today, we're diving into the story of someone who was totally broke and yet managed to buy their very first place.
It's wild, isn't it? I remember hearing this and thinking, how does someone with barely any savings even get a foot in the door? But her journey really shows what's possible with a bit of creativity and a lot of determination.
Absolutely. She wasn't some financial wizard or trust fund kid, just someone who refused to let her bank balance define her future. And honestly, that's what makes this story so inspiring.
What really gets me is how resourceful she had to be from day one. Being broke forced her to think outside the box in ways most of us wouldn't even consider.
That resourcefulness paid off big time when she figured out how to buy her property completely legally and tax-free too. Not something you hear every day.
The key for her was digging into government programs and grants. She literally spent nights scouring official sites for any assistance she might qualify for. That kind of research really made a difference.
She also made sure every step was above board. No shady shortcuts, just a lot of patience, and reading those fine print rules most people skim past.
And because she structured everything legally, she managed to avoid hefty taxes that would have otherwise wiped out her savings. That's a pretty clever move, especially for a first-timer.
The way she scraped together enough for a down payment is impressive on its own. She didn't just save in the usual sense, she found side gigs, sold old stuff online, and even bartered for some services.
Listening to her, you get the sense she turned frugality into an art form. She'd swap her skills like tutoring or pet sitting instead of paying cash for things like repairs or even furniture.
That actually reminds me, she also joined community housing groups and forums online. Getting advice from people who'd been there before helped her spot opportunities she never would have noticed on her own.
It's such a good reminder that sometimes the best ideas come from crowdsourcing wisdom. She was never afraid to ask for help or try something unconventional if it could move her closer to her goal.
I think what sticks out most is how up and down the process was emotionally for her. There were moments she almost gave up. Papers got lost. Deals fell through. The whole roller coaster.
Totally, she even admitted crying out of sheer frustration at one point. But every setback seemed to push her harder to find a workaround or just keep going. That level of resilience is honestly rare.
It's easy to forget how stressful these things can be when you're just hearing the highlights. But she always stressed the importance of celebrating tiny wins along the way. Just getting a loan pre-approval felt huge to her.
And by sharing both the tough spots and the victories, she makes it real for anyone listening. It's not about instant results, it's the persistence that gets you there.
So, looking back at her story, there's a lot to take away. You don't need loads of cash to start, but you do need to be persistent, get creative, and never be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly, her journey shows that legal hacks and tax breaks are out there, but it takes guts and a willingness to do your homework. It's not easy, but it might be more possible than people think.
If you want more stories like this, remember to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. And if you have questions or want us to dig deeper into any part of this story, drop a comment below. We love hearing from you.
Just a quick heads up though. We're sharing stories and ideas, not financial advice. Always do your own research or talk to a professional before making big money moves. But if you're ready to get inspired, stick around, we've got plenty more coming up.